Hello and welcome to another Tech Articles. I'm doing an article today on DeftForm, and what we're going to do is we're going to take our DeftForm installation and we are going to add a new form. We're going to connect that to FlowMattic. We're going to inspect that form for the secret so we know that it came from DeftForm, and we are going to then filter that out. And I've been using DeftForm on a couple of my static websites for testing purposes, and one of the methods of delivering or processing them after delivery is with FlowMattic, and I thought I'd share a video on how to do that. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to head into DeftForm and I'm going to create a new form. In this workspace here, I'm going to call it FlowMattic. And we're just going to use the AI assistant to generate a simple contact form with a name, email, subject, and message box, please. And we'll let the AI assistant generate that for us, so we don't have to build the form manually. We might have to tweak it depending on what we need here. And it should throw us a form, which I imagine will be fine. I've done a little bit of experimenting with it, and it's usually very good at following those basic instructions. So we have exactly what I asked for. So I'm going to accept and continue. So we have our form. We can view that form on the front end, and it is exactly how we would expect a form to be. I'm going to leave that open for now because we will need to use that later. So the next thing we need to do is connect it to FlowMattic. So to do this, we're going to head over to FlowMattic, where I've already got a workflow going. We're going to capture a webhook response, and I'm going to copy that webhook URL. And I'm going to take that back to DeftForm, and I'm going to add a connection. It asks me to select a connection. I'm going to select webhook, and you'll see I don't have any active connections. So I'm going to go to settings. I'm going to add an endpoint, and I'm also going to make sure it includes non-filled in fields in the response. I'm going to add an endpoint. I'm going to call that endpoint FlowMattic, and I'm going to add it. And that endpoint has now been created. I'm going to head back to my form. I'm going to edit my form. And now I'm going to try that again. Add a connection. I'm going to select webhook, and then I'm going to select FlowMattic, and I'm going to add. And that is now connected to FlowMattic. Now on FlowMattic's side, I'm going to listen for this response, and I'm going to fill in the data from our form. Test at wpcode.dev, test form, test message. And I'm going to submit that, and it tells me that it's sent, so I'm going to refresh that window. I'm going to head over to FlowMattic, and you can see we've had our response. And there's a load of data contained in here, and in the headers, it contains information that we need to extract. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to extract this information. So to do that, the first thing I'm going to do is add a PHP array, and I'm going to look for extract JSON data. I'm going to configure it to take the headers from our response, like so. I'm going to continue that. I'm going to test that action, and you'll see it has. You can see it has extracted our data. So we want secret. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly rename these items so that we understand what's going on here. So this one is capture the form. I'm going to rename this one extract the headers secret. And now what we're going to do is we're going to add our router, and the router is going to decide whether we accept this form or reject this form. So we want to do a router, and I'm just going to rename these quickly. We call this one secret key matches, and we call this one secret key person match. Then it all looks, and we can, when we come back, we can understand exactly what we're going to have to do. So now we need to go back to DeftForm. And when we were setting up our webhook, it told us what the secret key would be. And it was here in this, here, so it says your webhook signing secret is, and we need to copy this. And now what we need to do is compare the incoming secret to what we know it to be. So this is the unknown secret, and that's what we need. So we're going to head over to FlowMattic. Head over to FlowMattic, and we are going to edit this. And what we want to do with this one is select our extraction of the secret. So that's that one there. And we are going to do exactly matches on this side. And if it exactly matches here, it's going to be a success, and we want it to carry on. So we're going to push continue and test that action, and we get exactly that. This is a success. Conditions met, execution will continue. So save and close. So this side is now working. Now in this case here, we want to do the exact opposite. So we are going to edit this, but we're going to do exactly the same field. So we're going to use our extracted secret. We're going to do it doesn't contain, or does not exactly match. I'm going to put our secret in here, and we're going to test it again. Now again, we will get a success message because this doesn't need to execute. That's what it's checking. So success, condition does not meet, will stop. So it's not going to process this branch because the key matches. So that's it. We have now connected our form to the form, and it's ready to go. So all I'm going to do now is I'm going to publish our workflow. I'm going to save our workflow, and then I'm going to show our history of our workflow. And currently we have nothing here. So I'm going to go back to our form. And what I'm going to do now is I am going to send across the form data, and we should see it appear in our history. So I'm going to do a simple test of the form with some details that we can test and see. So testing. I'm going to submit. Then I'm going to head back over to FlowMattic. I'm going to refresh our history, and we have our success here. So we can view the steps, we get our data come in, we extract our secret, the secret matches, so we will continue with secret key matches. Secret key doesn't match, so this route will not be executed. Absolutely perfect. Now obviously we have nothing after success, and that means that we don't see a step happening after that. But what we can do is we can quickly go back to our workflow, and we can add something here, I don't know what, as a step to prove that it happens. Let's add a 30 seconds delay. Delay for configure seconds, 30 seconds. Continue, save and close, save our workflow. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to, while I'm here, I'm going to get this webhook details again. And I'm going to open a command line on my Windows machine here, and I'm going to pull our workflow. So that has just sent something to our webhook, and we'll examine that in a second. So we'll go to our history, and you'll see we now have two attempts, one straight after the other. So we're going to come down here, and you'll see here secret key does not match. This route will not be executed, and down here condition met, this will continue. So you notice that there no delay happened at all there, because we followed the does not match router, not the does match router. So once again, I'm going to go over to our form, I'm going to refresh it, I'm going to send some different data. This time we use test 2. Test 2. I'm going to submit that. I'm going to head back to our history. I'm going to refresh again. We should now have 3 attempts, which we do. I'm going to view, and you'll see here that what has happened this time, because it is authenticated, is our hook fires, we extract our headers, we filter, the condition is met, and then we run a delay on that 30 seconds, and that is now how that works. And if we were to have more than one form, or we accidentally sent the form to the wrong webhook from the wrong workspace that would have a different key over in DeftForms. So in each workspace has a unique signing secret, and if you was accidentally sent from one to the other, they wouldn't match, so they wouldn't continue. And this allows you to use your form securely with FlowMattic. You know that if it has this key, it's come from here, or somebody knows this key and is using it to bypass your form checking. So yeah, the only changes that I would make to the flow that I haven't discussed, with ours it didn't matter because they're all required fields. I would always send the non-field fields as well, because it helps with building your workflow. They might not always send them, but you might want to use them. And the only other change I would make in FlowMattic into the workflow builder is, given that this is a web form submission, I would allow the request queue in case 2 people fire off the forms very quickly. You've seen it's pretty much instant, but I always like to queue for something like a web form, because it's quite possible that we could be executing more than one at a time. So that's it. That is I would say whistle stop tour, but it's taken longer than I thought it would actually. That is a way to show you how to connect your DeftForms to FlowMattic for your workflow, and from here onwards you can get your workflow to do whatever you wanted to do on both sides. Maybe you want to store those in a table when they don't match, and you want to send an email to them or add them to your CRM when it does. So yeah, thanks for watching. I hope you liked the video. Please do like and subscribe to the channel. If there's something you're not sure of, something you want to ask, please do so in the comments, and thanks for watching.